I have a terrible condition. This condition is officially termed procrastinating workaholic. A lot of people think procrastinators are lazy, unmotivated people, but I've learned that being a procrastinator doesn't necessarily mean you're lazy. I mean, to be fair, procrastination often looks very lazy. I'm filming this video when I have to leave on an international trip in 15 hours because I spent most of yesterday in this position. I am an expert procrastinator, but I'm also a workaholic, which means that I have an unhealthy relationship with work. I struggle to take breaks, and when I am trying to take a break, I always am thinking about doing work and feeling vaguely guilty that I'm not. I don't really know why I'm a workaholic. Maybe it's the Midwestern work ethic in me, or maybe it's just a particular concoction I have of low self-esteem with a dash of perfectionism combined with a low simmering anxiety. Here's the thing. Because I am an expert procrastinator and also a workaholic, one thing I like to do is I use projects that didn't exist before and aren't important as a way to procrastinate on my highest priorities. For example, last year when I was on deadline to finish a book, I planned ahead and I set aside an entire Saturday just to do line edits on a chapter. This is something that maybe would have taken me about 3 hours to pull off. But I had to be in the exact right state to do it, of course. So I had to have the right breakfast, I had to take a shower, had to get in the right clothes, and then I sat down on my desk to work on the book. Guess what I did instead? Spent the next 18 hours cataloging my entire wardrobe into a 3,000 cell spreadsheet. Was this something I needed to do? No, of course, no one needs to do that. In addition to being pathological in my case, procrastination is a manifestation of my extreme perfectionism. It must be the best possible version of this thing. I couldn't just have a 30th birthday party where I invite my friends out to drinks at a bar. No, I decided to run a multi-city scavenger hunt that involved getting grants and donations from government agencies and having 80 people run around and document it, and we had to build custom software. So one of the things about being a workaholic is that I tend to prioritize work over everything else, like eating lunch or relationships and my personal life. And once I actually start a project, I'll usually ignore the entire world until it's done. I do things in really big chunks, like massive marathon chunks, and I put a lot of myself into them. And I know I'm gonna be wiped out at the end of whatever I do. So I kind of create this idea in my head that I need the motivation fairy to visit. It's like the Santa Claus of workaholics. And I convince myself that I need to have the perfect setting and I need to leave her out a sacrifice of the perfect things. And suddenly I will want to work on things. I think one of the things about procrastination is that you can set up all the systems you want and you can create a beautiful altar for the motivation fairy. But in fact, the plot twist is that you are the motivation fairy all along. Last video, I asked you about your file management structures. Here are some of your comments. Dan, I really like the idea that someday someone out there will be a scholar forced to go through our terrible file naming conventions. It's like a way less fun version of archivists having to go through the homoerotic letters that King James I left for his lover. Nagisa, I don't think YouTube videos are valid wills, but you know, I'm not a lawyer. Katie, thank you for validating the hour that I spent making gradient folder icons with your comment. If you're watching this video because you're procrastinating on something, for real, just go do it right now. I'm waiting. You're still here, aren't you? Tell me down in the comments what the most ridiculous thing you've done while procrastinating is. And please don't forget to like this video. You can click my face over there to subscribe to this channel. Please do, I'm desperate. You can click up there in order to watch my last video on my terrible file naming conventions.